Hello, hello, hello. I hope I'm live. Yes, I am. How are you doing? Are we live on Facebook? Are we live on YouTube? Hello, how are you doing? I am Áine Homer, the Baby Reflux Lady, and today I want to talk about this really, really important question because I get asked it so many times, and it's simply, how do I know if my baby has reflux? How do you know if your child has reflux? I'm going to give you the quickest thing to answer first and foremost this, and it's basically that you don't need, okay, you don't need to know or have an official diagnosis if to say my baby has reflux, I need to help them. The most important thing for any parent is, first of all, to ask yourself the question, do you believe your baby is a little bit more unsettled than ideally they should be? If your hand on heart answer for this is yes, then there's probably something we can do about it. Okay, you might recall, you might not recall, but actually each and every single one of us actually spoke infant once upon a time. We were fluent in it. We tend to forget that we have actually been there. We tend to believe that it's not possible for us to understand what our babies are telling us. When we simply tune in, our babies are telling us almost everything we need to know. So first of all, do you as a parent feel that your child is more unsettled than they should be? By the way, let me know in the comments for anybody who's actually watching on the live. If you're catching it on the replay as well, use hashtag replay and put your comments in. I will be checking on these across Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, etc. over the coming weeks, months, days, hours, everything, because I am so passionate about this. Now, the biggest challenge we have is that our doctors tend to diagnose reflux as gastroesophageal reflux disease or gastroesophageal reflux. And they say this definition of the difference between normal reflux and the disease is simply that baby suffers marked distress. Now, that's a very subjective way of diagnosing anything. Okay, it's not really helpful. If you have had this diagnosis or if you haven't, let me know, is any of this helpful? By the way, as I go through, it's coffee time here. Actually, it's always coffee time here. The truth is, reflux in infants is not a disease. There is no underlying pathology. Okay, COVID, that's a disease. We know it's a disease. We can test the blood for it. It's going to show this virus, this protein, whatever it is. And that happens in every single case of COVID. With reflux, there's no blood test for reflux. Okay, there's no saliva test. There's no, stick a twizzly thing up your nose and check your snots for reflux. Reflux doesn't have an underlying pathology. Reflux itself is actually a sign of something else going on. For years, I've been saying reflux is a symptom. It is a symptom. It is a sign in its own right. This makes it really hard for the medical profession to diagnose it and give you an official answer for this. Lily, I assume that's twizzling the thing up your nose to check your snots for reflux, laughing. There are over 80 different symptoms, behaviors, and signs that myself or any of the other certified baby reflux ladies look at in order to figure out what is going on for any child in any particular case, because there are over 30 different underlying causes and contributory factors. Joanna's saying that they got told it was GORD, then GERD. GORD and GERD are actually the exact same thing. Okay, GORD and GERD are basically the different spellings of esophageal in the US versus the UK. Many people will say it's reflux or GOR and then GERD. And then the latest diagnosis for Joanna's baby is silent reflux. Now, so what is the difference with silent reflux? Silent reflux is when the regurgitated material only comes into the esophagus and doesn't come up as vomit. So it might come in, it might look like pocketing. It might look like, baby is constantly swallowing all the time. If they've got something coming up, we shouldn't be swallowing except for when we're actually consuming food or drink. Let me know if this is making sense. We look at over 80 different signs, symptoms, behaviors. The most important one is your baby more uncomfortable than you think they should be? Are they more unsettled than you think they should be? This is a very subjective view. But we start with this because if your baby is perfectly happy, then you're not going to be following me. You're not going to be looking for my help. Okay. So we've got to trust ourselves so much more as parents, first and foremost. The most common symptom of reflux, does anybody want to guess what it is? Let me know. Have you got a guess? By the way, if you do have comments, please pop them in. I'm trying to watch the Instagram feed and watch the comments on Facebook as well. So if they're there, let me know. If the comments are coming up, let me know. But the most frequent symptoms of reflux are, we've got a guess here, of disturbed sleep. It is, however, 68% of babies with reflux will have disturbed sleep. Less than 50% of babies with reflux will have vomiting. Less than 20%, I think, will have projectile vomiting. You know, that vomiting where it's so powerful, it literally hits the other side of the room. We have more than 50% of babies having silent reflux, which is where there's no vomiting. Some babies will sleep really well at night. Some babies will have great naps and sleep awfully at night. Some babies will throw up, some babies won't. Some babies will have congestion, some babies won't. Some babies will have eczema, other babies won't. There is no set list of symptoms, which makes reflux a really difficult diagnosis to make from a medical point of view, because we can't just have they can't do a tick list going tick, 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 tick. Great, that's reflux, that's not. Some doctors will tell you that your baby is gaining weight and therefore cannot have reflux. That is complete BS. That is wrong, okay? There's a question here from Leanne about symptoms. She's asking, can a baby just projectile vomit and not be unsettled much of the time, just at night? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, Leanne. However, projectile vomiting is not necessarily normal, is it? So the way I coach everybody I work with, and indeed everybody I don't work with, anybody who comes into this sphere about reflux, is adopt your symptoms, adopt your baby symptoms as your own. Okay? Adopt them as your own. So if in the case of reflux, if I was having this cup of coffee and then like either in the middle of it, it started to come back up, I wouldn't be happy. If I needed to excuse myself in 5 minutes to say, actually, excuse me, I need to go and throw this up, and that happened every single time I had a cup of coffee, I'd be really unhappy. I'm not getting the caffeine I want. I'm not getting my oat milk. If you adopt your baby's symptoms as your own, ask yourself, would you be happy living with the answers you've already received from the doctors? So, for example, it might go away in 12 months. It might be gone next week. When you're 12 weeks old, you'll grow out of it. We could try this. We could try that. Ask yourself genuinely, would you be happy with those as answers? We've got a question here on Instagram, which is so Saz, I'm not going into causes on this one. That's an entire other session, but on Instagram later on, I will share the causes of reflux post. But we do have a question here on Facebook. So I'll read it out so you guys on Instagram can hear it as well. How do we know if sleep is disturbed? Don't know what is normal. Well, when a baby is sleeping at any age, when a human being, okay, let's broaden that out. When a human being is sleeping, we should be able to sleep motionless for the majority of the time, with the odd turn where we might turn to get comfortable, but we're not constantly moving in our sleep. We should also be breathing virtually silently. Okay, it should be virtually silent when we're breathing. The only way that we know a child is breathing when we go to check on them is that we need to peer in really, really quietly. I'm trying to look at 2 cameras here. And all that we should see is the chest rising and falling slowly. And that tells us baby's alive. We shouldn't hear them. We shouldn't be able to hear them breathing from the next room. We should not be able to hear them breathing from the door. Okay. And Clayton and I will recommend that you go and just Google, sleep cycles for whatever month age your baby is. If your baby is moving around their cot or moving around your bed or kicking or constantly moving, there's something going on, and we can help when we understand what it is. What I would suggest is, if you get the free symptoms tracker from my website, I will pop a link into, I should have had these ready, shouldn't I? www.thebabyrefluxlady.co.uk/symptoms. Oh, that's not the right spelling. I can't spell. But Instagram, you'll find it in my bio. Facebook and YouTube will put the links in. Oh, look. No, it's not there. Apologies while you watch me concentrate on typing. There we go. It's going to share it. When you get this list, this is the list of like 80 plus symptoms and things that could be going on for your baby. When you get that list, if your baby has 3 or 4 of the symptoms out of that whole 80 on a regular basis, and that first question again, you feel that they are more unsettled than they should be, those 2 things alone are enough to know that we can do something for them. It's not going to be medication as the answer, by the way. Your doctors probably won't have this answer either. They will probably tell you that reflux is normal, that crying is normal, that you need to get used to it, that, this is your anxiety. It's none of those. None of those. I was told my baby's reflux was down to my anxiety, and it was my fault, and I need to get used to babies crying. And looking back now, I am so grateful to me of 9 years ago that and those answers weren't good enough for me. I wasn't happy with them. It just wasn't good enough for me to let my baby cry. I was not happy with a diagnosis of colic, and then she didn't grow out of the colic, so they didn't do anything. They just said, oh, it's prolonged colic. I'm like, no, there's got to be something else going on. And in truth, there was. However, I wasn't there to help myself in the first 9 months. So we do need to look at what is going on. I've got another one here, so related to symptoms. Emmy is saying her baby wakes 30 to 60 minutes at night with clear tummy cramps, difficult to pass wind. Right, Emmy, this is usually, so tummy cramps and digestive discomfort is usually down to the natural maturity of baby's digestive system. On Instagram, I will share the post directly into my stories. So go and have a look, check out my stories today, and you can go and watch that. For Facebook and Instagram, Facebook and YouTube, I will post a blog link to the immature digestive system and the way that they develop, the way that baby's digestive system develops. This is usually related to the foods they're consuming. It might be in the formula, it might be what mom's eating in breastfeeding diet, it might be the solids that baby's already on. We have ways to support all children of all areas once we understand who they are, what they're eating, what they're drinking, and how they're doing it, and then how we work through it. Now, if you want to jump straight to the answers, if you don't yet know the underlying cause of your baby's reflux, our workshop, www.thebabyrefluxlady.co.uk/workshop, is going to be the one that helps you identify and figure out all of these 80 symptoms. How do we put them together? How do we see that jigsaw puzzle? How do we get answers for them? Emmy's saying she started the TED today. The TED is a total elimination diet. I'm assuming this is Dr. Sears' total elimination diet, Emmy. Babies prescribed lactose for constipation. Should she keep taking this? And wonder whether lactose makes reflux worse. Right. So I can't make any medication recommendations because the lactose was prescribed by a doctor. Oh, you're sorry, Emmy, you're doing the diet from the book. Okay, very different. Not the so TED is the official name of the total elimination diet. You're doing the one outlined in my book. Okay, with the lactulose, you need to speak to the doctor about when you use that, when you don't. Over the next few days, you start a day, so I would expect over the next few days, you will start to see things easing for your baby. And when they don't have constipation, technically you should be able to go back to the doctor and say, do they need to be on the lactulose? What we need to remember is lactulose is not dairy free. So if they have any dairy intolerance, dairy allergies, that could be making things worse. It might be easing constipation, but it's made based on the milk sugar, so it could actually be flaring digestive immaturity, and it could be flaring potential dairy allergy. So it's all about understanding everything in detail. Also, just make sure you get your symptoms diaries. Emmy, you have them as a book reader. You've got a link to get them from the website. Your food and symptom diaries, they are the key. Anyway, so in summary, how do you know if your baby has reflux? Ask the question. Ask yourself the question, do you think they're more unsettled than they should be? You don't need an official diagnosis in order to get help and resolve it. Okay, you are more than welcome, Emmy. Thank you very much for your questions. There's one more question come up, which is on Instagram, which I'll read it. Is straining poop, which is not constipated, one of the things that happens to reflux babies on amino acid formula for 1 to 6 weeks? It can be, yes, but we need to look at everything in its context. There's always a reason. My background is engineering. Can't speak. Mechanical engineering. Because of my mechanical engineering brain and then my traditional Chinese medicine training, I'm always focused on what's the underlying cause. What's the underlying cause? What's the underlying cause? Our body, while it's a bit of a mystery, not many people know, I don't even know how it works. Like, the brain is the most complex thing on this earth. Nobody, although we all possess one, nobody's figured out how it works. But the body is a really complex system of systems. Okay, it's a bit like a car. If your car doesn't start in the morning, what do? You know, do you go and get a different key and go, it must be the key that's wrong, we need a new key, get a new key because the car's not starting? For most of us, we've already got the right key. However, that seems to be the approach that doctors take with reflux. Get a new key, get a new pill, different pill, try another pill, there's something wrong, it's a pill. In truth, if your car doesn't start in the morning, there's a lot of different systems that could be involved. It could be the electrical system, so the battery's dead. And so it's not communicating with the spark plug. It's not, providing a spark to the spark plugs. It could be the fuel system, and the fuel's empty. So it's empty. It needs fuel to go. It could be that the physical wiring has been gnawed by a mouse, and therefore the battery can't get there's a connection broken somewhere. It could be that it's just been really cold, and so the diesel has frozen and it's not moving, it's not flowing. There's so many different reasons and things that could be going on, and we need to ask further questions before jumping to, is the key that needs changing? That's what we do with reflux. We try and understand, we understand exactly what's going on first by reading all your baby's symptoms and patterns as a picture, and then understanding to see what's going on. Some quick comments. So Brain here, Maureen, you're more than welcome to book in 1-to-1. You feel like you've explored everything: allergies, tongue tie, lip tie, latch. It is, sometimes we need to just get under the skin of it. It can be really, really complex for some. It can be really simple for others. And that's why we have all the various options of support. There's all the free resources. There's the book, which is less than £10, found on Amazon and all major booksellers across the world. We've got online courses which you can access and get into straight away. And we have one-to-one support as well. Another one from Instagram. My baby's on the waiting list to see a pediatrician because she suspected umbilical hernia. Could this be the root cause of reflux and trapped wind? No. Okay. The umbilical hernia is generally not the underlying cause. Sorry for the phone. I knew it was going to ring when I got in here. It's not the underlying cause of reflux. So we need to understand everything else that's going on with that. It might be, but it's highly unlikely. And even if it is, there are other things we can do to support your baby while the hernia is addressed to make them much more comfortable. Another one from Instagram. Baby has been on prescribed formula for suspected dairy intolerance, but I'd like to trial getting him on one formula as you recommend. Any suggestions for doing this? Well, Francesca, first of all, we must understand if your child has an allergy or not first. Really, really important. When we look at all their symptoms, everything that's going on, then we can tell how likely it is that they may have an allergy or not. We don't need to just try a milk to see if it makes changes. We can tell before we invest in the milks if it is the right thing or not. So I think that is the last of the questions for today. I've run over. It's 20 minutes now. I am just about to go. And Leah, yes, this will be left available for you to watch on Facebook and on Instagram. Thank you very much. True lip ties are not revised in the UK. That is true. And I will see you all very soon. Bye-bye.